Okay, now I'm going to load it up. Let's try this again. Okay, we're good. Now streaming. Just got to get in there. Okay, so now I can see the chat. Excellent. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to color this piece. So this is for the Longbows card for Oath. I'll try and keep an eye on chat if people have questions about stuff, but I'm just going to do some process. So this is just something I drew for the Longbows card. This is traditional ink on paper. Here is the pen, an 03 Prismacolor that I used to ink it, and then also this brush pen, which is a Kuretake brush pen. Looks fancy. Just as looks like that. I don't know where it's showing up. And then we got my sketchbook, the brand new one. Just I filled up my other one last stream, and then this is the picture on there. Just scanned it in. And then this is my science fiction and fantasy book. That is the perfect size for holding down my sketchbook on the scanner surface. So now I'm just going to color this up. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have this set up as a background, but I'm going to make it its own layer. So and then we're going to mess around with the levels. So this I'm just trying to isolate so it's just black and just white. There's not a lot of gray values. If there's a little bit, that's okay. But so now it's just black and white. I'm going to select it and make a little black layer. This will be my ink layer. Just make it all black, and then I set up this little button under here to make kind of quick clipping mask. Copy that entire layer in there, release the clipping mask, and then just push delete. Womp. So now what I have is a layer on its own that is just ink that I can color underneath. So I can take, you know, some red or whatever, some pink, and I can color, and it'll go underneath the ink. And the best part about this is that I don't have any weird jaggy JPEG artifacty stuff. So like literally just black pixels and white pixels, transparent pixels. So, and if there are some places where it is a little bit gray, it's okay because it's just semi-transparent. I can draw underneath it. Let's see, I can draw underneath it, and it'll just, I won't get any weird JPEG artifact stuff. Marshall's in the chat complimenting my beard. We had a little bit of beard discourse last time too. Okay, so now we have that by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new file because most of the Oath cards are just vertical bridge size cards. These are all scanned in at like 600 dpi, so they're pretty big. Then I can make them kind of whatever size I want and not worry about them being too downsampled. So I'm just going to take the longbow guys, I'm going to make them their own image. Sure. Oh, nope. Let's try that again. Let's just select this. How about that? Not my invisible pink layer. Making a new file. There we go. Okay. So now I'm just going to blow this up a little bit. I'm going to make the image a little bit bigger than I need for bleed purposes. Just with the crop tool. And this will give us a good starting place. So I am going to, after I get this set up in the layers I want, I'm going to make it not windowed, and that will look a little bit better for the stream, I hope. So here's this, and we're going to add some background elements. So well, first I'm going to make this its own thing. So I'm going to select all. I'm going to use the magic wand tool and option it, so it's basically deselecting everything I click. I have some counter shapes here in the bow that I need to deselect. Right there, right there, right there. And this is not perfect. This is just a good starting spot. I'm going to go back through with the pencil tool and deselect anything else I need to deselect, and probably some things will be revealed to me after I paint bucket. So right now I have dancing ants around all the kind of outer edges of the inkwork. So I'm going to go to select, modify, and contract. I'm going to contract at about 2 pixels. So now I won't have any color that's seeping out underneath the black. And I just paint bucket. So now I can see exactly where I missed and where I need to go back and fix it. Looks like I have a boot and an arm that I need to go in to. And right now I'm just flatting, so I am just going to do my pencil tool to do that. Art! This is comic duct tape. Thank you for watching. So this is just my Wacom tablet. It's a Intuos Pro medium. And so I'll be drawing down here on my desk and I'll be rendering on the computer where you can see it. So I'm going to, first I'm going to turn off notifications on my computer. Do not disturb mode so we don't get any weird noises. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go through here and do this. Sometimes if I haven't used my Wacom tablet in a day or two, I got to unplug it and replug it back in. Okay, let's see. We good? There we go, we're good. Okay, so I'm just going to use the same pink, and I'm just using this pink so I can see exactly where it's going really clearly. So if I, color bleed anything, I can erase it quickly. It looks like I have a shape right here that I missed. I'm just going to delete real quick under that longbowman's arm. And then I have this leg right here that I'm also going to color in. So I didn't quite catch what you're saying. The white spaces are layers that didn't merge. So the white spaces, like her leg here, or this quiver that's sticking out of the ground, basically they didn't get colored in because they have a little gap here. It's just like when you use the paint bucket tool on MS Paint. So there's a little gap right here, and so it didn't fill it in. If it's a small enough space, I'll just go back through and paint bucket it. But if it's a big space like this, I might just be able to close the hole, and yeah, now it's good. Now it's paint bucketed. Yep. Okay, so now we have this on its own layer. So this is just going to be my foreground. Now I'm going to add my background elements from the original file. So right now it kind of looks like the archers are shooting at the birds, and that's not what I want. I like birds. So I'm going to put this sort of background sagebrush type shape for some movement. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Just going to kind of put it on its own level here. And because of its size, I'm going to do it 2 times and just kind of repeat it back here. I don't want it to look too samey, so I'm going to make sure the parts that are overlapping are the parts that do look really samey. I'm going to adjust a little bit so it doesn't look too obvious. And a lot of this will be cropped out anyway. This is just kind of for my benefit. So I can see everything just fine. I'm going to get rid of some of these details by the face so that stands out the most clearly. And I'm going to make these 2 their own layer. And then I'm going to adjust the color a little bit. Well, actually, I'm just going to make it lighter a tiny bit so it separates it from the foreground for process stuff. And this is all just composition junk. Now I'm going to put the birds in. I'm going to put the birds in a better place. Heaven. No, I'm going to put the birds kind of behind the archers here. A lot of this is going to get cropped because of the way the art looks, but that's okay. All the cards are supposed to be a little peek into Oath's world, and so I'm just going to put that right there. So it's okay if there's a lot of bleed or a lot of art doesn't make it on the actual card, because then it just enhances the effect of like you're not seeing quite everything, you're just looking at a little window into the world of Oath. Yeah, I'll put that bird there for right now. I might change my mind later. I'm going to group these and I'm going to make them semi-transparent. Okay, for a background, I'm just going to do kind of a little bit darker than mid-warm gray. So I can kind of see that pop out the way I need to. And now comes the fun part, comes the actual coloring part. So I'm going to turn that to kind of a brown, just for neutrality's sake, and I'll probably change this up a whole bunch of times over the course of things. Let me know if anybody has any questions or about the Oath art or about my process stuff in general. I'm going to drag and drop something in here real quick. This is my color palette that I've been using for all of the Oath art, and that'll be a good starting point for me. So let's do cancel. All right. I don't really dictate when I'm drawing very much, so this will be interesting for me. Okay, got another little shape I didn't want there. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my brushes. I use Kyle Webster's Gouache A Go-Go brush for most things. Root was mostly colored with this brush too. So I'm going to lock down this layer. So now I can't color off of this image. So if I take this blue and I start right here, I cannot color off of the image. It's only going to go to right there. And that makes, all the process earlier worthwhile, because this Wacom tablet is a pretty exact machine, but I am only human. And I'm going to make it easier on myself. And I actually like that blue, so I'm going to keep her this blue color. Just go through and hit all the exposed skin with this blue. Her hand. And this hand. And then I haven't made kind of a purpley guy in a while, so I will make kind of a purpley guy. All right. This will be this guy's color. Kind of an orange nose. Like a Muppet, I'll give her sort of red nose. And I did give her some kind of like freckles, so I might continue that kind of blush effect onto her face. Just a tiny bit. And then there are very few white values unless they're really shiny or their eyes or teeth. So I'm going to add that right now. And then give her some kind of orangey hair. Let's see. Hi Kyle, where do you get your color palette? Do you make any mood board before starting a game? How do you define the colors of Oath? So in the previous stream I talked about it a tiny bit, but I went through some old art, just some random art, and I went through until I found a palette that I liked, and then I just sampled a few dominant colors that I knew I wanted to be included, and then I made this. So I'm just using like a semi-transparent Photoshop brush going through, and I picked a yellow, a blue, a couple blues, you know, some purple values that I wanted to be included, and then I just smudge it around like an actual palette to find a whole bunch of in-between colors. And then that's, you know, it's just about messing with that. And so even though I'm doing it digitally, I'm still mixing my colors in a traditional fashion. That way it all looks cohesive and like it goes together. So that's kind of how I picked the colors. Same thing for root. Root was all, let's see, I think I might have it on the desktop even. Root, yep. So here is Root's. Here's Root's color palette right there. So same process, but that's how it works. Let's see. Looks like Bert from Sesame Street. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in and finish her hair tone here. I'm gonna prop up my phone a little bit so I can see the chat better. Good stuff. So, I guess I'll just talk about what's going on with me right now. So, we had a baby, excuse me, little boy a few days ago. Just getting acclimated to having another kiddo around, and he has been chill. He's been a good sleeper. But my 2-year-old, she is having her 2-year-old sleep regression time, meaning she doesn't like naps as much during the day, and she gets up at 6 a.m. every day screaming for me to get me to sing her 2 specific songs and bring her a drink of water. And it's been like the last week. It's just been like she wants dad time. So she'll just scream, "Daddy!" And I'll go in there. And then she says, "Sunbeams." So I sing her the Jesus Wants Me for a Sunbeam song. And then I sing her Give, Said the Little Stream. And then she says, "Drink water." And she has a binky in the whole time. So it's like for a while I couldn't distinguish Sunbeam and Little Stream as the 2 songs that she wanted, but I think I've figured it out now. So if I seem a little bit tired, first of all, I always look like this, and second of all, it's because I am just a little bit tired. Yep, the Ferrin one. We named the baby Theo. Still call him Turbo for fun. And I might change this color, but I will come back to it because I just need it to be something for a minute. I'm actually going to go through and make all the fletching a certain color now. I'm just going to go bright yellow so I can tell kind of where it is, and then this will be kind of accent or pop out points. This is this guy's hand. Let's see. What's going on with you guys? What do you want to talk about? I'm usually either down here by myself or my kids are climbing all over me while I'm trying to work, and so I'm not used to talking to grown-ups. The fact that I call adults grown-ups kind of says it all, I think. Let's see. Yes, Theo, taking portions of the and one. The clues were hiding in the oath Kickstarter the whole time. Well, it's funny because when we were, with all of our kids, I have 5 kids, and with all of them, we didn't name them until we met them. Like, we had a short list of names that we liked. But I think that if you tell people what you're going to name your kids, you get weird opinions. Like, with our first baby, we thought about naming her Hazel. And we told Meredith's grandma that we liked the name Hazel, and she was like, "Ugh, Hazel." And we're like, "I hate the name Hazel." And we're like, "Oh, well, now maybe we do too." And I'm like, Hazel would have been a fine name, but you don't want to name it after something that your grandma hates. And if we wouldn't have told her and named the baby Hazel, it would have been fine. But so our short list included Theo as a name. But as a joke, when people would ask us what we were going to name the baby, we said his name was going to be Turbo Gandalf Ferrin. And so it's kind of funny that Theo ended up being the choice, because now I still jokingly call him Turbo. It kind of fits. Turbo is a good nickname for Theo, I think. Are you playing any non-Oath games these days? Yes. I've only actually played Oath a couple times, and it was farther back in the production. So some things have changed since I've officially played it, but I've watched all the streams of people playing it, and that is exciting to me. I watched the Quackalope games that they've played and thought those were fantastic. Those guys are so funny. I enjoy their work a lot. I think their production value is just through the roof for an in-person game. And then I watched Space Cats Peace Turtles, the Twilight Imperium podcast guys. They played Oath, and I just mostly listened to that one while I did dishes. But I count that as listening. Also, that was a long game. But so that's been, Oath has been kind of my thing for right now. And then most of what I'm playing in terms of like day-to-day stuff is I mostly just play Crokinole with my kids. We got a Crokinole board for Christmas, and my 4-year-old, he would play it all the time if he could. He really enjoys it. So it's fun to play Crokinole with my kids. Do you ever out little Easter eggs or anything in the artwork? Oh, constantly. Things that I think are funny or that will go unnoticed, or sometimes inside jokes with the rest of Leader Games staff. Notoriously, probably the biggest Easter egg I did, and this was, I probably shouldn't have done this, but when I worked for Patrick illustrating Vast, I didn't, it wasn't my full-time job, it was just freelance work. But I worked so long and hard on Vast to make it as good as I could. And one of the Easter eggs in Vast is that if you look on every cave tile, the walls have little hatching marks. And my name, Kyle, is written into every single one of the tiles. Just small in the detail, but that's the most Easter eggy thing that I've done. I also, if you look at Vast the Mysterious Manor, one of the tiles has a copy of Vast the Crystal Caverns in it, and one of the tiles has the carpet from The Shining in it. This is a good haunted house reference. Let's see. Yeah, those are some Easter eggs. Random question. I saw you were a HeroQuest player. Did you also believe in the 25th anniversary edition? Yeah, let me show you. You can see on the little screen real quick. So this is, I'll show you while coloring. So first of all, here's my Crokinole board. Woo! Shiny. And then this is my copy of HeroQuest right here. So this copy of HeroQuest I got at a British Heart Foundation thrift store that I volunteered at when I worked there in Ashton under Lyne in England on my mission. So this is at a thrift store, and it cost £2. But because I was a volunteer there, I got it for £1. And this was in 2008. So the exchange rate, this was about, I paid $2 for this, if you can believe it. And I didn't really know anything about it. I just knew it looked awesome, and I was into board games and card games as a kid, but I didn't really even know what a cult following HeroQuest was. And then when I got married in 2009, Meredith and I, my wife, we painted all our HeroQuest minis, and just like it was a fun activity. And so the paint work on some of these is pretty terrible, but it was fun to do. And then we're also missing some pieces. Some of the pieces are broken, and it was missing a dwarf. There was no dwarf piece, so I painted a goblin to be the dwarf piece. I don't know why I picked one with a sword. There are goblins with axes, but I don't know if you can see that super well. And then after, you know, like last year when I got back into miniature painting, I actually eBayed a dwarf miniature, and then I painted this one. So he's much better painted than all the other miniatures in HeroQuest, but what are you going to do? So that's my copy of HeroQuest. It cost me $2, and it's well loved. Let's see. Yeah, HeroQuest is great. And let's see, I'm going to continue this green down here into the boots of this guy. So I don't know anything about the 25th anniversary edition, but I think some of the sculpts and things for HeroQuest are great because like they don't look like super realistic, but they look evocative, and that's what I go for with my art too. I think you want it to look evocative more than I want it to look realistic. Okay, well there's that guy mostly. I'm gonna give him some kind of red pants, dark red pants. Okay, I actually like that color enough, so I'm gonna add it to the quivers here. Let's see. I put too much money on the failed Kickstarter of the 25th edition. HeroQuest was like my first fantasy game ever. Yeah. Who knows if I don't know. I just like, you know, I mean, HeroQuest is a roll and move. Like there's a bunch of things about it that should not work, but it's cute. It's fun. There's a lot of great things about it, and I think we've come a long way in the board game hobby for making like higher quality gameplay experiences, but there's a lot to be said for just liking things because you like them, you know, and because they're nostalgic or they remind you of a simpler time in your life or things like that. So let's look at this. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. That tan is a little bit boring, but I'll come back to it if I want to. I'm going to go into some purple here. Let's see. We put too much money. I wasn't even aware of that. My first ever Kickstarter that I backed was for Creatures, the card game, and I didn't know much about Kickstarter at the time, and I didn't know that like that could have gone south, but they fulfilled it, and I still play the Creatures, the card game, and it's funny. It's good, and you know, since then I spent way too much money on Zombicide, and I've since decided I'm not buying any more Zombicide. I have a lot of it already, and I was very tempted by the Zombicide Invader Kickstarter for all the sci-fi minis and stuff, but I was just like, I can't do it. I already have so much Zombicide, and I play it like with my kids. But I have enough, and that's kind of another concern that I'm glad that we address at Leader Games, is that we want to make sure that the games we're making justify their own existence as being like worth the materials that they're printed on. You know, something that you can enjoy and that you can hand down eventually, or you know, pass on, let somebody borrow. Kind of some of the unique things that you can do with board games that other games don't allow you to do. And we never just want to be like the cheap version of somebody else's work. We want to be trying to innovate. And I mean, one of the things I'm most proud of with Oath and the work that Cole has done and the rest of the team is that it's so different. Like it's just there's not really another game where I've played or watched Oath and I think, oh, that's just like this game, but with it's I mean it's inspired by a lot of things, but it's not just a riff on somebody else's work. I like that about it a lot. Get some of this green in there. Let's see. Hi Kyle, it's your favorite Ryan, I think. I don't know, man. I got a cousin named Ryan that I like a lot. Secret cousin that you didn't know about. I kickstarted a lot of games, Zombicide and all. I decided to stop Kickstarter a few years back. Then the Root trading, or the Root tabletop RPG, then Oath. Well, thanks for coming back for us. I don't know. I love Kickstarter and what it can accomplish in terms of marketing, in terms of getting people excited about being a part of your project, and I think there's just we're getting away from that a little bit. Like we're doing Fort, another game I've illustrated for Leader Games, is just going to be direct to retail, and we're kind of seeing, you know, if our audience is interested in that. I hope they will be. Fort is great. But we owe a lot to Kickstarter and we've paid a lot to Kickstarter in terms of you know, what they've done for us and enabled us, the community we've been able to find through you guys, and you know, being able to make our games, being able to have this as my job, which is still kind of weird some days. You know, it doesn't feel real some days. Extraordinarily fortunate. I'm excited for Fort, says Cosmic Duct Tape. You should be. It is great, and Fort is kind of the weight of game that I have an easier time getting to my table than Oath even or Root, just because the people I play games with most often, and I'm very excited for Fort for that reason. It's gonna be fun. I think Oath and Root are a little bit more like event games. You know, you get people together specifically to do that. Fort, I'd have an easier time being like, we're all hanging out, what should we do? How about this? You know, how about Fort? I guess that's the difference, right? Is that like, if I wanted to play Oath, I would text people that we were going to play Oath when they came to my house. And if I was going to play Fort, I would just text people to come to my house, and then we would start playing Fort. I'd spring it on them. Let's see, I'm rather fond of deck builders. Yeah, how about this? Boom. Yeah, suggesting it as we go. My friends, we lovingly refer to that as, like, that's named after me. That move, Kyling. We call it Kyling a movie is when it first came out. Or we started talking about it because my friends had come over to watch a movie or something, and then we couldn't decide on something. And so I would just start a movie. Just be like, we're watching this. Like, once we've discussed it for long enough, we just need to start something or it's going to be too late. And so that became Kyling the movie. So that would be Kyling the word game also. It's like, and we're playing this. And it's happening. We're getting to a point here where I could almost start on some of the outlines. I really want the bows themselves to stand out a lot. So I'm going to go back with this blue. A blue longbow. Yeah, Kyle, the final game from Later Games. Well, there was a while where we were joking around that like the reason that all of our games have four letters, one syllable, is because most of the people at the company, I mean, we have Kyle, we have Cole, we have Patty, we have Nick, we have Clay. So a lot of people at the company were just 4-letter names. I think this one red, kind of this soft red color. So I like watching process videos for other people's art because I always feel like I learned something about somebody else's process that I think, oh, I never thought about doing it that way, or oh, that's it. Like, I kind of feel like it takes back the curtain a little bit, so you can say, oh, maybe that's not so hard, or boy, I mean, they make it look so easy. And I'm going to change this a little bit so the bow pops out a little. I feel free. That's the great thing about digital, is that I can change things on the fly. Watercolor, not so much. Watercolor, not so much. Okay, well I'm going to have that be, sorry, she knows. It's most of what I want for the foreground. I'm going to drop some more of this red down here into like this dirt and grass situation. And in all of this, I'm not striving to be perfect. I'm just trying to kind of get the vibe. Because again, these are going to be printed pretty small at the end of the day. And some of this detail up into here. How do I feel about the tan on that guy? Yeah, I'm going to go darker. All right, and I'm going to go back and clean up some of this edge stuff that didn't get done by the paint bucket tool. How do you prepare your palette and decide which swatches merge with which? I just do it like a color wheel. Like you can see up here, you know, yellow, blue, green, red. I mostly I just need to make a lot of different values, because values is how I show visual hierarchy, and so I need some more muted colors and some brighter colors. And the way you make good muted colors that are like rich grays is by mixing complementary colors. So if I mix a red and a green together, like right here, that is going to give me, let's see, red and green, good. That's going to give me a color like a gray, but isn't as boring as a gray. So like I'll do that on his helmet right here. So I mean, it's kind of a greeny color, but it's more muted than if I just did a straight green. So I'm mixing colors that are similar together to get some variation. And then I'm also mixing colors together. I'll just do the whole thing. I'm also mixing colors together to get different values. Let's see, should her shoulder strap be blue still? You know what? Maybe not. I'll make it the same color as the strap so we have some continuity there. If you ever watched like old Scooby-Doo shows, it used to really bother me when people, like when they'd color something wrong, like it would cut to the side and like cut back for a quick scene and Shaggy's shirt would be the same color as his pants just for a second. And I'd think, oh, somebody dropped the ball. But now that I do this professionally, I think, yeah, it's fine. Stuff like that's going to happen all the time. And I'm going to make this belt buckle the same as her other belt. Okay. Let's see. How much is your technique and approach affected when the end product will be shrunk to card size? Does it affect the adjacent color choices, for example? The main thing that is for cards and stuff is that detail-wise, I know that, like, I can see right now on my screen, because I have a pretty big screen, I can see right here that there is still some blue where this orangey red should be. And if I was printing this on a billboard or on a banner or something, I would care more about fixing that. But the fact that this is going to be, you know, just small, it doesn't matter as much to me, because the things that stand out most are like the contrasting colors, contrasting values, and like I mean, I'll fix it right now because I've been talking about it, and now it's going to bug me. But scale mostly affects the visual hierarchy of this image. So like I have, like at the very beginning of the stream, I mocked up how I wanted the background images to be. So like currently all this stuff is, if I make it all black, like this is a pretty muddled image. And because I know it's going on cards, I know the background is not going to be important. It's mostly there just to give kind of a place for these figures to sit. And so I'm going to knock back the value of that significantly so you can see the foreground characters better. I might even just give it a color in general. Yeah, maybe they were just trying to show me Shaggy Shirt from Scooby's colorblind perspective. Maybe. I hadn't considered that. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to start working on background stuff just a little bit so I know what I'm putting my other colors on, and then I'm going to go to the magic part, which is doing all the outline work to get the important things I want to stand out. So go to my background. I'm just going to do a simple gradient. I have a couple of the colors here. I'm going to do a green, and I'm going to do kind of a darker. We joked about last stream too that my temptation is just to make everything purple. I fight against that. No. I need it to be a little bit darker than that. I'm going to change this to this blue of her face. Nope. I just need it to be darker. So a lot of, I don't know. It's funny that I've chosen to be on I'm doing this live, because for the most part I don't really like watching people watch me work, because unless I'm narrating it like I'm currently doing, I feel like it just looks like I'm doing nothing. And I still get self-conscious about my work, because it's like somebody who just walks by sees me looking at a screen going, what is Kyle doing? It's like, just nothing, I guess. But a lot of good illustration work is seeing, critiquing. Okay, we're almost there. I like that. I like that in some ways and don't like it in others. Find a darker orange, maybe. Just go straight brown. Just don't want his face details to be lost. This. So that's what I'm talking about, is like, if you don't know what I'm doing, it just looks like I'm an insane person who's just been like, why has he just been changing the gradient on that a whole bunch of times? It's like, because sometimes you just have to see it. Like I can see in my mind's eye the way I want it to look. But sometimes you just have to see it. That just looks like the bushes are on fire. That looks more like nighttime. And I think I might have to just change this manually to more of a blue color. Let's see how that makes me feel about it. Okay, we'll stick with this for a minute, and I reserve the right to change it later too. What's that funky jaggedy edge on your color square? Oh, so this jaggedy edge shows me what colors can't be printed. So like this yellow can be printed by a printer, and once I get into here, I can still select colors, but the printer's gonna have a hard time with it. So like this is the brightest red I can do. Anything brighter than that cannot be printed on a traditional printer. So I can't even remember how I did the settings for that, but there's a way you can do it. and it just helps me not pick colors for the printer that are too difficult, too annoying. And occasionally I'm going to fall out of that, you know, just because I've been playing around with the colors outside of my color picker, but that's okay. I can always fix it later when I'm changing file types or whatever. Let's see. Yeah, very helpful for printmaking. Did I forget to color the birds? The birds, Kyle, the birds. They're in the background. I'm not coloring them yet. They are, hierarchy-wise, they are the second most important thing. So figures first, probably actually longbows first, figures second, birds third, background, like grass texture fourth, background color like fifth or not at all. So just because it's such a small card and it's going to be, you know, I'm trying to make them as rich and colorful as possible, but I know that people are going to be looking at them from a distance, so visual hierarchy is the most important thing I can do. Okay, so now that I have this where I want it, I'm going to go back and color the outline. So I'm going to go to my line layer, I'm going to lock it with this little Purina Dog Chow logo here. And do it, let's see. Someone said, but Kyle, when I look at the cards with a magnifying glass looking for defects and I find some, like, well, you're gonna. And when we when we blow up art for banners and things, you're gonna see stuff like that, even in the final artwork, because especially Oath is gonna have a lot of art. So this is one of my favorite parts, and I did this some with Root, and Oath is gonna have even more of it, but coloring the line work is gonna be important. So instead of using white, like I did with a lot of the Root artwork, I've been using yellow kind of predominantly to show highlight regions and white for only like the most shiny or most important things. So it turns some of those black to a different color to show this is a different texture things. And actually I'm going to go through with the white since I just said that I'm not going to use it as much, but I'm going to make all the bowstrings, white. And that way they'll stand out the most from the colorful and black background. Okay, so there's one. There's another one. Would you consider doing covers for every game from here on, for every company ever, forever? No, I probably wouldn't. For one thing, I'd be competing against myself because I work for Leader Games full time, and so that wouldn't make a lot of sense for me to do that. But I'm flattered. And secondly, covers are a lot of work. The Oath cover took as much work as almost everything else has taken so far, just because it's a lot of detail. I know it's something that people are going to look at with magnifying glass. It's going to be on display, you know, it'll be on shelves and things, both in game stores and at our events. So covers are a lot of work, but thank you. It's nice of you to say. All right, and you can see where the line on this is going to be a little bit jaggedy because it is not an exact science, but it's going to be small, it's going to be cropped, so I'm just getting the general idea there. And then I can go back over it with the fine-tooth comb if I want to, or I can just decide that it's good enough for my purposes and then leave it. So once again, I'm only able to do this because I locked the line layer down. So now I have two bows, and those stand out pretty good, I think. So I'm going to go back with kind of this. I'm going to get really light orange color. This will be her hair accents just on the top to show her kind of my light source is coming from the top. But it's not super crucial to have a direction in some of these because a lot of the A lot of my inspiration for the Oath art is kind of old tapestry style art, and for a lot of that, decoration is just as important as what you're portraying. So there's going to be a lot of pattern work. Gears or freckles pop out a little bit too. I'll use the same color on his nose. Okay, and I think I'm going to go with this kind of bright red color for all of the fletching. It'll really pop with that yellow, and make sure you can see fletching wherever it is. This will set up that line work so it pops from the background a little bit too. Like this yellowy color here. Separate the front figure from the back figure a little bit. I'm going to use this blue that I took off of his hat and put it back on. Gambus in here. Do you create any photo ref boards before working with the tapestries you're talking about, or is it just from memories, feelings, imaginations? I spend some time on Pinterest, and but a lot of it, just especially for the scale that I'm working at, it has to be from my head. For these specifically, I did look at references for archery stances, just because I know it's a little bit different for longbow than it is for other kinds of archery, and because I know that people who are into archery will be intensely bothered by bad archery stances. So, I mean, the same goes for horses. I'm not great at drawing horses, but I give drawing horses just enough care, like drawing bridles and stuff, that people who love horses don't like have to cringe every time they look at the art. It's just one of those things where it's like, if you know about it, then it bothers you when you see it being done incorrectly. And I sympathize with that a lot because I'm married to a nurse and I was raised by a nurse. And if you've ever watched any shows with medical stuff, man, it's just bananas how wrong they get it all the time. And so I grew up with, like, my mom's a labor and delivery nurse, and every time there was a baby in a TV show, my mom would be like, "That's not a newborn baby. Like, that's like a 6-month-old baby." So I strive to make my babies look newborn when I draw them, my horse bridles to look somewhat accurate, archery stances to be good enough that no one's going to feel annoyed by them. Pop out some of these details here. Let's see. Oh, I need to retweet my thing. Do. Gates is like, Kyle, do your job. I will. There we go. It's been retweeted. Now hopefully more people will hop in and we'll get some more questions. Have you ever watched Code Black? I have not. I don't actually know what that is. Is it a movie? Is it a show? I don't know what Code Black is. Mostly what I watch right now is Star Trek The Next Generation when I'm staying up with Sleepy Baby or whatever. Because I've never actually finished it, and I've wanted to finish it, especially if I'm going to watch any of the new Picard show. I want to finish it. It's a show. Okay. Well, I'll have to check it out. I'll put it on my list. Are you a video game player? If so, what do you like? I like. My kids and I have just finished unlocking everything in Tower Fall. We have a Switch, we have a Nintendo, and I beat Breath of the Wild long ago. It's like the first video game I've beaten, like a story type game, because I just don't have a lot of time for single player stuff anymore. So I play a lot of like couch competitive and couch co-op stuff, like Overcooked. I love to play that with my kids. Yeah, those are the kind of video games I like. I've watched a lot of video game things. Sometimes when I'm just coloring, I'll have something on in the background. So I've watched pretty much all of The Witcher 3. I've watched pretty much all of Red Dead Redemption 2. Before I watched it on YouTube, like a long time ago, I'd watched my friends play through pretty much the entirety of the Mass Effect trilogy, and I love those games. I've literally never played them. I've only played Mass Effect multiplayer a few times, but everything else has just been from the part of an observer. So I'm a very odd person in that way, that I really like. I like the Mass Effect games, but I've never played them. But I could tell you all about Garrus, Tally, and that type of stuff. Part of it is maybe that just like I don't enjoy the stress of playing a video game as much as I enjoy the story stuff. So it's fine to have my friends crouch down behind chest high walls while I just zone out, and then when it gets to the story stuff, I can zoom my focus back in. Let's see. As you like old school things like HeroQuest, are you into old school RPGs? Might and Magic and all those things. Those have a great retro fantasy vibe that would fit your style. Let's see. Are we talking video games or tabletop games? Because I play a lot of tabletop RPGs. My buddy let me borrow Skyrim a long time ago, and I played a little bit of it, but I just found like I was just scared all the time. Like I don't like going into dungeons that are dark and things by myself. I like need somebody to watch me play it so I can talk about what I'm doing when I go through it. When I played Skyrim for the first time, I made an orc character who looked really tough, but would just like frequently scream into situations, and my friends would watch me and just laugh because I would miss big chunks of dialogue because I would just run in and start hitting everything. It's like, oh, there's a dragon bringing another dragon to life, and it's like, nope, nope, and I just run in and just hit everything with a hammer until it went away. And they'd be like, you just missed a very important part of the story. I was like, well, I wasn't gonna let that happen. I didn't want a dragon to be bringing anybody to life. Okay, that's good for some of the foreground stuff for right now. I am going to, yeah. Now it really looks like fire though. I'm just playing with this kind of background brush stuff. I kind of like that green actually too. Maybe I'll save the yellow for the birds. I'll make this its own layer, and then I'll give this a bird color. Okay, I like that way. Okay, so I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to take, this is just this watercolor wash that I have. It's kind of a neutral gray, and I'm just going to plop that on top of there and set this layer to overlay, and then I'm going to mess around with it a little bit. And what that does is it lightens the values of everything a little bit, but it also it adds this watercolor texture to everything. So you can see now it's a little bit more grainy. and looks like, especially makes the gradient look a lot better in the background. I can just kind of put that on top of everything, and then I'm actually gonna rotate it. And that's, let's see, are you a teacher? The room you're in looks like a teacher on break. No, this is the basement of my house. We call this the blue room. The walls are brick that are painted baby blue with little gold accents. The previous owners of our home, it's decorated crazy in here. I kind of love it and kind of hate it at the same time. The curtains are just appalling, but I'll exchange them for something more my style eventually. But this is the blue room. So shelves, all the board games. This TV in the back is just a VCR that my kids can watch VHS tapes on. Super useful for when my wife wasn't on maternity leave. Then I could be working and my kids could be playing games or watching something on the TV behind me while I work. And yeah, it kind of looks like a staff room, I guess, but it's just an office. I have a drawing table right there. It's a big slanted piece of wood. I mostly just use it for miniature painting and do all of my drawing at the computer desk anyway. Yeah. Let's see. So now this is mostly to a state that I wanna get to. I don't know. I might go through this line art layer real quick. You can see this overlay, what difference it makes. I'm going to go to this line art layer and knock out some of this really rough black that's on the bottom to be more of this purpley color. So I don't need it to be quite so severe. And I mean, probably most of this stuff is going to get cropped anyway, but and then I'm going to go into my bird layer, and I don't like that actually. I'm going to drop these down just a tiny bit more. Okay, now I'm going to save this. I'm just going to call it longbows.psd. And then I'm just going to get my card template. Here's my rain boots card. Here's the template, what goes over the top. I'm just going to go into my oath art. Whoop. Grab my new Photoshop file. And then I'm just going to position it how I want it to. I'm always going to try and err on the side of more detail than less. So look, I'm losing a bird completely. I'm losing most of their bodies, but I can see the longbows, and that's what's important. I'm going to shrink this a tiny bit more. Oh, I should probably take out my my color reference. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to take out my color reference, and then save it. and then try it again. Okay. Birds, longbows. Okay, and then this way, when I send the files to everybody, it'll be cropped the way it needs to be right out the gate. So I'm just going to save this. Same thing, longbows.jpg. And that's, let's see. Okay. And that's it for this one. Let's see. Ooh, can you show me some fort art? Yes, I can in a sec. Where does your illustrator work stop? Do you also work on the card and board layout, or do you do the banners, logos, and all as a graphic designer, or you just do the illustration and you're working with a graphic designer? We have two graphic designers. We have Patty Hune and we have Nick Brockman, and they both do excellent work. And it's great because even though I have a graphic design background, I don't want to do that and all the illustration at the same time. It would be too much. So Cole has a little bit of graphic design background stuff. He's doing a lot of the layout things. Pretty much everybody at Leader Games wears multiple hats. Our operations manager does some of the 3D rendering for the for like the Kickstarter. So we're all doing multiple things. But my work for Oath, in terms of illustrating, is that I do all the art, and then I do all the icon design and all the meeple shapes. But I'm not doing the actual graphic design. I mean, I could weigh in on that, and they'd listen to me, but I'm leaving it in capable hands for almost all of it. Let's see. Hyun, like bun. Patty, thank you for correcting me. I've never actually said your name out loud besides just Patty. I'm realizing now. Patty Hyun, like bun. Let's see. Yeah, Patty also never says her name out loud. And then let's see, fort art. Okay, we can show you some of that. Let's do that. So it's my fort art folder. You'll have to ignore my desktop. It's a giant mess pretty much all the time. Whoop. Here's a good example of some fort art. So one of the fun things we decided to do with Fort, and here's another Easter eggy thing, is that some of the characters are modeled off of pictures of us, the staff at Leader Games, when we were kids. So here we have Gates, we have Nick, we have Cole, Marshall, and then Patty, and then there's Patrick down the bottom with the stack of books. So I'm in Fort also. Let's see, where's me? Here's me in Fort also. I'm Doodles. There's a picture of me drawing Garfield, which is something I used to do a lot, and then also drawing buff guys with huge thighs was also my MO as a child. Yeah, what other Fort stuff do you want to see? I'm just doing this a little bit because, let's see, there's some more art for Fort. Similar process. It's the Oath art. Let's see. There's the logo for Fort. Yep. Here's the, let's see. Here is the macaroni sculpture. Here is some of the perks and rules have like a little bit more like coloring book style art. Angry child with a shovel. Let's see. You don't have a beard. I don't understand what's happening. Were you born like this? Nope. I was born blonde. I was a blonde kid, blue eyes. I didn't even get my hair to change to brown until I was in elementary school. Oh yeah, here's me, full body. And then here's Josh Yearsley, our rules editor as a kid. I'm trying to find, oh, here we go. And here's the box art for Fort. Let's see. One thing I love about watching artists is seeing something that looks amazing and complete, then they add more to it and it looks even better, and that happens over and over again. Oh, that's very nice. I had a watercolor teacher named Pete Peterson, and he would say that the learning to watercolor well was mostly just learning when to stop. Mostly just learning at what point to be done. And it's definitely a skill to realize at what point you're just making things worse when you're adding things to the picture. Yeah, that's Fort 2. And then I can show you some of the Oath art. I'll actually move this onto the screen. Here's the cover art for Oath. Yeah, so there's the box art for Oath too. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This is the piece that I'll just load it up. This is the piece that we did. It's Longbow's art. Thanks for watching. Saying things in the chat. I have another question. Do you work on personal project outside Leader Games, even just for fun? Yeah, I do. Yep. I think, I can't do everything just for work, but I have a lot of work to do too. So it's just about finding a balance. I think I probably draw less just for fun when I draw a lot during the day for work, just because it doesn't feel relaxing to do something that you've been doing for work all day. Um, but I do other things that are, I mean, basically the same as drawing. Like I paint miniatures for fun or stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I think I'm going to stop streaming. Appreciate everybody watching. You can hit me up on Twitter if you're, have any questions that I missed or anything like that. And then make sure that you are backing Oath on Kickstarter. Looks like we're at 10,000 some odd backers, 10,071 backers as of right now. So appreciate you watching. And yeah, talk to you later. Bye.